Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into an incredibly profound two-part book by Karma Nayak called The Cost of Malnutrition, India's Silent Mortality Crisis. We're going to unpack some truly devastating statistics and the deep-rooted constitutional and political theories Nayak lays out. Trust me, this is a systemic issue that often goes completely unnoticed, but it absolutely demands our attention.
Before we get into the heavy data, I want to point out how the author starts the book. Nayak establishes a very serious, solemn tone right out of the gate by dedicating this work to the innocent children who have lost their lives to hunger. It's a powerful reminder that we aren't just looking at academic theories here. We're talking about real lost lives, which brings a massive sense of urgency to everything we're about to explore.
So, here's our roadmap for today. We're going to cover 1. The silent crisis. 2. Decades of lost lives. 3. The constitutional paradox. 4. The 85 Paise Leakage. 5. The Vaitsheric-Ogalan mission. And finally, 6. How to support the revolution. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. The Silent Crisis, a devastating daily reality. The sheer scale of this issue is frankly mind-boggling. Nayak notes that an average of 904 children under the age of 5 die every single day, directly or indirectly, because of undernutrition. Now, you might be wondering why we don't hear about this more. Well, Nayak clarifies that death certificates rarely actually list malnutrition as the cause. They'll list pneumonia, diarrhea, or other infections, but it's that severe lack of nutrition that completely strips away these kids' immune systems, turning common illnesses into fatal ones.
Let's break that down even further. Nayak's data calculates that one innocent child loses their life every 1.5 minutes to this preventable crisis. Just think about that for a second. While we're just going about our normal daily routines, every 90 seconds, a child succumbs to a crisis that could absolutely be solved with basic, timely nutrition and healthcare. It's heartbreaking.
And when we zoom out to look at the entire national population across all age groups, this includes women facing severe anemia and adults battling chronic energy deficiencies. The book reveals a staggering rate of one malnutrition-related death every single minute. That adds up to over 5 lakh lives lost every single year. It's a relentless daily emergency. And Nayak argues this demands our immediate focus above literally all other political debates.
Moving on to Section 2. Decades of lost lives, the historical context.
Here, the author mathematically estimates the cumulative death toll across 3 major eras since independence in 1947, and it reveals a deeply entrenched systemic issue. While the absolute numbers have thankfully come down in recent decades because of better healthcare, the historical aggregate is just horrifying. Nayak estimates around 4.5 crore deaths in the first 30 years, 2.7 crore in the middle 30, and roughly 85 lakh in the most recent era.
So, the ultimate takeaway here is that an estimated 7.5 to 8 crore people have died from this silent crisis since independence. To put that into perspective, Nayak points out this figure is actually higher than casualties from wars, pandemics, or natural disasters. It's this quiet, ongoing tragedy that has just swallowed up the most vulnerable segments of society, decade after decade.
This brings us to Section 3, the constitutional paradox, a failing promise.
Nayak transitions from those devastating stats to a critical look at the political and constitutional reasons behind them. The author highlights Dr. B.R. Ambedkar's historical warning, that however good a constitution is, if the people implementing it are bad, it will prove to be bad. Nayak argues that the Constitution essentially handed power over to a syndicate that completely failed to protect its most vulnerable citizens. It raises a deep philosophical question. Why was a system designed that allowed the same historical exploiters to easily regain power through modern democratic institutions?
And this perfectly illustrates Nayak's central paradox. On one hand, you have the beautiful constitutional dream, Article 21, the right to life, dignity, and equality. On the other hand, you have the harsh reality on the ground, poverty, systemic failure, and starvation. The written law, as idealistic as it is, has fundamentally failed to translate into a sturdy foundation for millions of people.
Let's dive into exactly how that happens. In Section 4, the 85 Paise Leakage, corruption by the syndicate. Nayak posits that out of every 1 rupee meant for the poor, 85 paise is literally siphoned off by a massive systemic network of middlemen, bureaucrats, and political syndicates. And make no mistake, the author doesn't see this as just accidental inefficiency. It's described as deliberate, structural leakage. We're talking about ration dealers hoarding supplies,
bureaucratic corruption fueled by cut money, huge administrative overhead, and local political nexuses protecting the whole operation.
I found this part especially fascinating. The book completely reframes the economic debate. It argues that the true parasites in the system are the corrupt middlemen, the syndicate members swallowing that 85 paise. Meanwhile, the laboring poor, who are surviving on a measly 15 paise, are just receiving their rightful compensation. Nayak pushes back hard against the idea that basic food rations are somehow freebies. The real free riders are the ones taking the lion's share without adding any value to society.
Okay, so what's the solution? That's Section 5, Vaishyarik Ogulan Mission, the ideological awakening.
To combat this deeply entrenched syndicate, the author introduces an intellectual revolution called the Vaishyarik Ogulan Mission. Nayak defines this as an ideological revolution challenging the dynamic where just 10% of the population controls the system, while the other 90% are denied their fundamental rights. Ogulan is a term that evokes historical tribal uprisings, but here Nayak is calling for a Vaishyarik, or ideological awakening. It's all about the 90% realizing their constitutional power.
And this isn't just surface-level theory. The author backs this up with 18 years of intense research, pulling in deep historical and genetic data. We're talking about tracing the historical impact of the ancient Yamanaya culture and looking at genetic insights from haplogroup R1A1. Nayak even uses findings like the bomb shot report to deconstruct modern tribal hypocrisy using cosmic science. By blending anthropology and genetics, the author really grounds this call for structural change in scientific history.
Finally, let's wrap up with Section 6, Support the Revolution. Join the movement.
Nayak has comprehensively documented all these incredibly deep theories across 18 revolutionary books. Some of the key titles you definitely want to look out for include Kalki 2026, Ul-Galan, Bhagwan, and Democracy's Womb. It is a massive, lifelong body of work dedicated to exposing systemic truths and advocating for the silenced 90%.
Now, as a direct call to action, if you want to explore these concepts firsthand, there's a fantastic special offer. You can actually claim one of these books completely for free. All you have to do is subscribe to the author's YouTube channel at Karma Nayak Satyaki Hoj. It's an amazing, barrier-free way to start exploring these ideas.
For those of you who want to dive deeper into the full 18-book collection, they are available right now for purchase. You can grab them directly through the Amazon and Instamojo links. Getting into the full texts will give you the complete genetic and political context behind this whole movement.
And lastly, if you want to directly support this incredible, independent 18-year research mission, you can do so using the UPI ID HaronikaPark@XLL or the PayPal address HaronikaPark@gmail.com. Independent research of this magnitude really relies on the support of people who value this kind of deep, systemic analysis.
So, I want to leave you with a crucial question. Armed with the knowledge of this massive systemic failure, a failure that is literally costing a life every single minute, will you remain part of the silent 90%, or will you join the ideological awakening? What role will you play in the Ogulan? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope this sparks a desire in you to dig deeper into the reality around us.